Welcome back, everybody, to another show, Vino Frankel, A Taste of Sculpterra. Woohoo, episode 3 of 96, or maybe more. This is just the beginning of all of my crazy fun ideas for our podcast here. All about wine, our Sculpterra wine, and Heroe Wine that we're going to be talking about today on this podcast. I've got some special guests today. I have 2 people in the studio. It's our first time having 2. We've only had 1 previously, so this is cool. I've got Nesenia Luna to my right.
Hi.
Thanks for being here, Nesenia. Nesenia is the dance instructor for a local dance group, and they're participating in our Harvest Fiesta, which is happening Saturday, October 18th, which is coming right up. And to my left, I've got Pepe Fonseca.
How's it going, everybody?
From La Parrilla Mexican restaurants. They have 3 locations, Arroyo Grande, Tascadero, and Paso. And they sell our wine, which pairs great with Mexican food. So in a little bit, Nesenia and Pepe are going to share their story and how they got into the respective fields that they're in. You notice I'm still wearing my Harvest shirt. We're actually now a little bit over the halfway point of Harvest, which is exciting, which is about normal. Today is October 7th. So typically we pick half the grapes in September, half the grapes in October. So things are really moving along nicely. Again, we try to have the harvest wrapped up by the Harvest Festival. I don't think that's going to happen this year. We're picking our pistachio trees next week. You guys have had our pistachios, right?
I have, yeah. It's a tasting room.
Yeah, we grew up pistachios. We planted pistachios in 1981, and those are usually harvested at towards the end of the harvest. So the pistachios, it's our largest crop ever, which that's awesome. We need it. The trees are healthy and we're having a really good year. So that's happening next week. Just a little bit of what's happening right now at the vineyard. So we finished picking Primitivo. The last time I was on, we were in the midst of picking Primitivo. So now we have 1 lot left. We have 8 tons, which we make Primitivo Port, a dessert wine. So those grapes we let hang on the vine a long time. We pick them at 28 bricks, 29, or over 30 bricks. So we let these grapes get really sweet. All raisins. And we add high proof alcohol during the fermentation, which brings up the alcohol, leaves the wine sweet, and we have port. So I don't make port every year, but this is a really good year to make port. So that's the last of the Primitivo that we have to pick. We picked our Grenache vineyard, which is the best looking vineyard on the property for just for looking at vines and nice clusters hanging, and we've leaf pulled it, and it's just an incredible site. It's got a west side slope, an east side slope. It gets nice airflow in the middle. We harvested that on Friday, and we got 11.5 tons on 1.5 acres, which is a huge crop. I don't know if you guys have heard the phrase tons per acre. Have you heard vineyards or wineries talk about this?
I mean, briefly when I came out to see you, 6 months ago, to give me that whole tour about the whole winery, and we took the tractor. What did we take? No, we took an
ATV. We took a side-by-side.
Yeah.
Can-Am side-by-side.
And you kind of explained it all to me, and it was really exciting getting to know all that stuff, because I'm still new to this. I drink the wine, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people have heard that tons per acre, the less tons you have, the higher the quality. The less you have, the better you have. This Grenache vineyard gave us 7.7 tons per acre, which you tell that to a wine drinker and they'll say instantly, it's too much fruit. That can't be high quality. It was super high quality. So it's not about, how many tons per acre you farm. It's about having a balanced vine. Just like wine. You want the wine to be balanced. You want it to have acidity and maybe a little bit of sweetness and structure and finish and texture. Well, vines are the same way. You don't want them to be overcropped or undercropped. They need enough leaves. They need enough shoots and tendrils and irrigation, everything. So in conclusion, just our Grenache vineyard is super well balanced. It's a prolific grape, meaning it can produce a lot of fruit and the fruit gets ripe. So we did a video. I met this incredible guy. His name is Brian Cusco. He's actually the youth worship leader at ABC Church. and he films videos, and he's incredible. And I met him through the grapevine, so to speak, and he filmed a video Friday. And let's put on our headphones because Miguel is going to cue it up here. We're going to react live to a video that was just shot on Friday.
Let's see this.
Yeah, so this was filmed on Friday, and nobody has seen it yet. So brand new. Look at that. I've got the same shirt on every day. We're wearing the same shirt.
I need one of those shirts, by the way.
Today we are harvesting grapes. We're picking our Grenache block. This is an amazing vineyard. Some of the most perfect looking vines you'll ever see.
Yeah, and this was, the crew showed up at 2 in the morning, and we started a little bit before 3. These guys love to work early. They're just like, they work hard early in the morning.
Everything involved is led
I keep telling you I want to do this, but I don't know if I want to that early.
It takes the first bins, you're still warming up, you know, and then a couple hours in, you're just moving fast.
Moment of the day. We've learned over the years that grapes come in cold, it makes better wine. You get better color extraction.
Yeah, you don't realize that
aromatics,
those little bins weigh up to 50 pounds. So you're picking up a 50-pound tray, lifting it over your body, and dumping it into the big bin right there. It's really heavy. And you're doing that, you know, 3 or 4 hours in a row.
Into a little tray. Those trays get transported and dumped into a 1,000-pound picking bin. From there, we transport the bins right to the winery. Again, we do the same 1,000-pound bins. We dump them into a receiving hopper.
Yeah, and I'm really into lighting, as you see. We have, our tractor is lit up. We've got lights on the front, the back, on the side. Looks great, and it just makes it easier. No one's going to trip or fall. Everyone sees the grapes, and easy to work with lots of light.
And start the fermentation process. And that's it. We've harvested grapes. Now they're in the tank. We can start the winemaking part. But it all starts in the vineyard. Harvest is a celebration. It's the celebration of the end of the year. We're finally picking grapes. So please come to our harvest party. We do this third weekend of October. You can celebrate with us as we celebrate the end of the harvest. We do music, food, dancing. You'll enjoy it. Come to Paso Robles and experience the harvest.
Awesome. See, that was about 8 a.m. So we started at 3, we finished at 8, and picked 11.4 tons in 5 hours. So
I don't know how you do that.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is that Grenache is the easiest grapes to pick because they're big clusters and they're easy to spot and see, so you can grab it and cut it off, drop it in the bin. But just a beautiful morning and just a great film. He had a drone. He even attached a camera to his car and followed the tractor in the vineyard a little bit. So he was having tons of fun, and he's a morning guy like me, so he had his energy and made a great film. So thank you, Brian. This is we're gonna share this video a lot because you know, it also leads to the Harvest Fiesta. You know, we're all working super hard and we're all exhausted and tired, but we want to celebrate.
I mean, it was a great video. Like the quality of it, even you can tell. I mean, it was really great.
Yeah, and I want people to get the feeling like they're there. You know, like you don't want to just. It's hard to tell someone. It's hard to explain to someone what picking grapes looks like. Like you think you understand it until, like you said, until you're in it. And yeah, maybe you'll get the opportunity, Pepe. I mean, maybe you too, Nesenia. Come out and pick.
I really hope I do, because I really do want to do it. But gotta find the right time, and 2 in the morning is a little rough, Paul. But you know, we'll see.
I already tried it. Actually, I worked at the fields for 4 days. Wow. That's all I lasted. 4 days.
What part of production was it? What part of the process?
The one when you throw the wire up, lift up.
Okay, lifting the wire.
Yep. 4 days took me to get fever, body aches.
Did you have to walk down long rows?
Yes, we did. Yep.
Yeah, especially when the chutes and canes get heavy and you're lifting the guide wire and you have to hold up and then you have to snap it in to the cross arm. Oh. Yeah, no, that can be very heavy.
Yep.
Okay, well, Nesenia,
Yes.
you're here today, which is awesome. I mentioned that Nesenia is a dance instructor, and my son Abraham is a part of her dance team. He loves it. But what's interesting is that I think with guys in general, men, I've never been a dancer. I've always wanted to learn dancing. I think it's a great characteristic, a great thing to know. I wish I knew how to dance. I've taken dance lessons.
Do you have 2 left feet, Paul? Is that
my
what's
wife
going
loves
on?
dancing. Well, I think like when you're in school, when you're in high school, or when you're growing up, it depends who your friends are. But you're like, oh, I don't dance. I'm not a dancer. That's lame, or that. Well, however you feel about it. But as you get older, you're like, I wish I knew how to dance, because I want to learn how to waltz and ballroom dance, or I want to know how to tango, whatever. Like you go to a wedding and you're like, if I knew how to dance, this would be great.
And I think you're right. I feel like when we're younger, we're kind of like a little bit embarrassed. And then when you get to be older, you're kind of like, wow, I can actually dance now. And, it kind of brings that self-esteem up at the wedding. And you're kind of, busting a move out there on the dance floor, right, Paul?
And the social part of it too. Like, I think now that my son Abraham, he's 11 years old and dances, I think it helps with your social skills. You're obviously interacting with girls and boys, and you have to ask a girl to dance. It kind of gets you out of your comfort zone. But if you start young, learning how to dance. So, Nesenia, I wanted to ask you, since you know how to dance. How did you get into this? And, what was your first experiences learning to dance?
Well, I started as young as I could remember. My dad used to have a band in Mexico, so we would dance with him, me and my siblings. And then I started here in Paso Robles with my aunt at the age of 15. And I've been dancing ever since. Yep.
Were you always good at it? Were you like, when you started, you're like, this is easy for me, or was it something you had to learn?
No, it was always easy for us. We would teach my little brother. Actually, I have a younger brother, Brian, and me and my sister would teach him, and we would be like, no, move your hips like this, and be a little bit more. We used to say, be more sexy in your hips. And he'll be like, no, I can't.
Like Shakira?
Yes. So we've been around dancing my whole life, basically. Yes. And now I get to be a part of something bigger because it's getting bigger. Yes.
What about doing folkloric dancing? I mean, has that always been what you've done, or have you done other styles of dancing?
I started Folklórico at the age of 15 with my aunt Aida, and she was here in Paso Robles. I'm pretty sure everybody knows her. She's the one that has like the white mechon in the front.
I think I've seen her around for sure.
Yes. And we started with her, and I lasted with her till I was about 18. Then I went to Fresno State, where I did it 2 years there. And then I started doing salsa and bachata, which I love also. And now I'm back to Folklórico because I like to show my roots and my heritage. And I think it's very important.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think, I see you instructing and being with the kids, and you're very patient with the kids. I mean, I go nuts trying to get everybody's attention. And the kids listen to you for the most part. Right? They get a little out of hand. My son gets a lot out of hand, but for the most part, everyone follows your direction. And how do you have so much patience for the kids? How do you do it?
I really do not know where my patience comes from. I don't have kids on my own, but I mean, I have 25 kiddos, and my patience comes from within. They can be a handful, but I love them. I love it. So I feel that's where the patience comes from the love I have for the dancing and for the kiddos.
How would you feel of doing like private lessons? Because my wife always says that, I'm Hispanic, but that whole like rhythm gene like skipped me or something. So, you know, maybe when I went from salsa or bachata eventually, you know, maybe Paul will come with me, get some lessons. What do you think about that, Paul?
Yeah.
I am all up for it if you guys want it.
So when did you start this current group, Flor de Luna?
I started in 2022, actually, while the pandemic was going on. And it was thanks to my cousin, Alexis. She's like, hey, I want to put the girls in something like dancing, but there's no instructors here. So I was like, if you get me 10 kids, I will gladly go ahead and do the dance. And she came up with 10 kids, and then kids started coming, and then we were 30 kiddos, and now we're at 25. But I'm teaching at the Lillian Larson, so there's another 40 there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So. Mm-hmm.
And what do you have planned for the Harvest Fiesta?
Ooh, Harvest Fiesta, we have about an hour worth of a show. We recently started with the adult classes with teacher Gokai. And so we're doing half kiddos and then half adults. And we have regions from Jalisco, Veracruz, Baja California, and then, what else? Guerrero. So you'll be seeing some of those, and it will be an hour show of entertainment, and hopefully everything goes good.
That's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
I actually went to a show not too long ago, so I don't know if you guys, my wife's a teacher.
Yeah.
But she teaches in Santa Maria.
Oh, wow.
At Rigetti High School. So we actually went one day to see, because some of our students were in the Folklórico dance. So we went, where was it at? I think it was like near Santa Maria High School at the auditorium, I think right there. And there was like a 2-hour show, and it was great. It was fun to watch, you know. Yeah, it was a good experience. I'm excited to, hopefully, I told my family to come out here also on the 18th. So
Good.
it'll be exciting to see them. They enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nesenia, you mentioned the adult class, the adults that dance with you. They're really good. I take Abraham to the park when you have practice, and I've been watching the adults dance, and it's not easy what you're having them do. Like, this is you really have to be an experienced dancer to do it.
We need boys, so we are more than welcoming boys because we don't have any right now. So if you want to learn how to dance Folklórico, man, come and join us on Mondays at the downtown park.
There's your chance, Paul.
Yes, Paul.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, thank you, Nesenia. And again, Nesenia is leading the charge with the kids and the adults at our Harvest Fiesta. So this is next Saturday, October 18th. There's no cost to come to the Harvest Fiesta. We do wine tasting. We have food trucks. Speaking of food trucks, we have La Parrilla is one of our food trucks, and
We will be
Pepe
there.
here today is one of the owners of La Parrilla, and I met him through a mutual friend, and we've Pepe over time has started to carry our wines in his locations, which is awesome, especially because our Mexican theme here, giving back to the workers and showcasing them on the label. So the restaurant is awesome. La Parrilla, I first went probably 4 years ago. I went to the Atascadero restaurant, and it was busy. That's the first thing I noticed. We were there on like a Sunday night, and it was busy, and we ordered 3 or 4 different things, and everything that we had was, I sampled a little bit of everything. I was like, wow, this is great. So I think your menu, what you guys have done, is really good, and you've obviously grown. Now you have three locations. But how did you? If you could tell us how you got your start in it, and you're in the restaurant business.
Yeah, well, my whole family kind of has been in the restaurant business forever. My dad actually had a restaurant in Pismo Beach way back in the day. It actually finally just closed about, I think within the last year. Him and my uncle owned it together. It was called El Mirador. It was right next to kind of Splash down there. Mm-hmm. And my dad just, he didn't want to be stuck inside all day, he said. So he eventually sold it to my uncle, and then my uncle finally retired within the last year. And he just sold it. Didn't know if it was for me. I hadn't really knew if I wanted to do it or not. And then I started working in another restaurant when I was going to Cuesta with my other family members. And then, you know, I kind of like learned to like it. And then got more and more involved. And then some other things happened. And then Edgar, which you know, Paul, Luz's husband, was like, hey, like, how would you like to open up a restaurant? And I was like, no, I never really thought about it. And then it kind of just started happening. And then before you know, he's like, hey, I got a great location in Tassadero. Do you want to do it? Do you not? And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So that's kind of how I got started. And then we opened up in Tassadero back in 2018. And now we've expanded to 3 locations. Oro Grande was the second one. And then Paso, the newest one, that's been open for about a year. So that's kind of where we're at to this point right now. I guess kind of how I got started.
Yeah, awesome. And you know, you and I have grown close. We become personal friends, and I've, like you said, I've given you a tour around the property. You do a lot of traveling. You go to New York City. You do lots. You seem to enjoy travel. I love traveling, so I wanted to hear kind of where you like to go and why you do so much traveling.
Yeah, so I mean, I wish I had to do a lot more traveling, to be honest with you. But you know, trying to expand with 3 restaurants, it's hard, right? Like, and I do have business partners, right? My cousins and all that stuff. But you know, it's hard to get away all the time. But when I do like to travel, man, I love New York. I can never live there, just because you know the pace of life is so much different. But when you're on vacation, it's something completely different. You know, I got no agenda, so I got nowhere to be. I don't got to be there at 2. I don't got to be there at 3. And some of my best friends who I grew up with in Oro Grande actually moved to New York maybe, man, I think it was pre-COVID. So maybe like 2019, 2018, they moved out there around that time. And I've gone out there maybe 4 or 5 times now to visit them. And oh man, I love the city. There's just always something to do. I think your dad's from the city, right? I think you were telling me about that.
Yeah, my dad grew up in New York City, and he's a family doctor. He went to medical school. He went to Brooklyn College, then Albert Einstein Medical School. Then he did his residency at UCLA. That's what brought him out to California. But he's a New Yorker. He has a New York accent, and he still knows the city really well. He could tell you where everything is and all the streets, all the avenues, Central Park, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens. All the boroughs. He knows it all.
I did catch that accent, like you're saying. When I met him briefly after the tour we did, I caught that accent. And I was like, oh, he's definitely from New York. But no, yeah, New York's I mean, great city. Like I said, I could never live there just because, you know, when you're accustomed to this life, like, you know, the slow life, right? It's kind of like one pace, kind of very lackadaisical. But in New York, you're always like, go, go, go. But like I said, when you're on vacation, man, it's probably one of the greatest cities in the world.
Fantastic. And the Harvest Fiesta, so yeah, you guys have done our 4th of July party. You've done our Christmas event, which we're doing that again. We're having a Christmas party December 18th. So that turned out to be a big party last year. So I'll be talking more about that as we get closer.
I feel bad because we ran a pozole for Martha at the very end. She was excited and I felt so bad. But I mean, we had, you know, there were so many people there and everyone's like, you know, it was freezing. Remember, it was really cold. So everyone just wanted something really warm. And, you know, Martha could have, like, come to the side real quick and, like, not have to wait in that long line, and we would have got her. But, you know, by the time she got to us, all the pozole was gone, so I felt bad. So I'll make sure we'll bring some extra this year, make sure, you know, we get enough for her this year.
Awesome. Yeah, what do you have planned for the Harvest Fiesta? What do you have planned on the menu?
Oh, man. You know, we haven't really talked about it yet. You know, we'll probably talk about it on Monday and just try to do something different. We'll probably check the weather the week before just to see what the weather's going to be like. You know, if it's hot, maybe do some ceviche again. If it's going to be, you know, a little bit on the colder side, maybe we'll have pozole on the Harvest Fiesta, you know?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So what part of Mexico are you from, or where do you, the food, your ethnicity?
So we're from a city called San Jose de Gracia, which is very small. A lot of people haven't heard of it. So I always tell them, like, near Guadalajara or Tepatitlan, which some people have heard about it. And then if people know about Tepatitlan, I say Los Altos, which is kind of like Slow County, kind of where the tequila grows. And it's like the domain, the origin is in Jalisco mostly. And, you know, Paul can tell you about that, right? Where, like, grapes are certain domain and region of it. It's kind of the same thing. So that's where we're from. Most of the food is actually my cousin Edgar's recipes that he grew up, because he's been working in the restaurant business. He was like 10. He was like, even after going to school, he would go work at the restaurant, you know. And he's from Napa. He's from Napa, so he's always like known in the wine industry as well, because, you know, Napa, and I think Napa was the original Paso's the up and coming kind of thing.
Paso's overtaking Napa.
There we go. See,
Napa's for auto parts, Paso's for wine.
there you go. That's a good way to put it. I like that. I actually never heard that one. That's a good one. I'll have to use that around a little bit now.
So speaking about wine, Pepe, what intrigues you most about wine? Because I know you're getting more into wine and you're learning more about wine. What intrigues you about wine, or what are you interested in with wine in general?
Oh man, that's a tough question. You know, obviously, at first when I was young, right, it was to get drunk, right? But you know, as I got older, I got to really, you know, like taste different wines. And then when I did the tour with Paul, he really kind of brought me on and explained to me like the whole process. And I actually grow tequila in Mexico. Like the agave, kind of like Paul does the grapes, I grow the agave. So I kind of realized it was kind of like the same process in a way. So it really intrigued me to like learn more about the making. So I want to come out there with Paul and, you know, pick him, and maybe if he allows me, see how he does the whole, you know, come out to the whole process of it in general. And I just want to learn more about it. That's kind of where I'm at when I got really intrigued. Again, I haven't had the time yet, but I want to make the time and find it just to understand like the whole process Paul goes through.
Yeah.
Yeah, winemaking is a ton of fun. I've been talking about it in the first 2 podcasts and how it takes over your whole life. It's just consuming physically, mentally. You know, you grow the grapes, you want them to come out a certain way. You're making the wine, you're after certain flavors and tastes. Wine is awesome. You know, that's why we're doing this podcast. There's so much to wine. You know, there's the grape growing, there's the winemaking, then there's the sales part of it, right? So we have a tasting room where people come out and they can try wine. We sell wine to restaurants. So wine has a huge story, which is really cool. Well, we're moving on. We're going to talk more about the Harvest Fiesta in just a little bit. But right now I wanted to kind of have our brief section about the world of wine. So each podcast episode, I try to bring in some topics that's happening, you know, with like the general overview of wine, the world of wine. So you guys have heard about tariffs, Trump's tariffs, which he's done on different food products or different imports, exports, that sort of thing. There's a tariff on wine that he's doing, which he started beginning of this year, which I think is good. And a lot of people would agree with me. So this is tariffs on Americans buying outside wine from America, because not a lot of you know this, but if for a wine to be called American or USA, only 75% of the grapes need to be from the USA to be labeled American wine. So technically, you could have a wine that's, say, 75% from Paso Robles and 25% from New Zealand or South Africa or Argentina or France or Italy. 25% of the wine could come from another country altogether, and you could still call it American wine or California wine. So we don't do this, but a lot of the big wineries, so we're talking about, you know, Two Buck Chuck and the huge brands, what they've been doing for years, for like 20, 30, 40 years. They've been, to save money, they'll buy California grapes from other growers and make wine, but they'll only do 75%. When it comes to bottling the wine, they'll bottle 75%. The wine will be from California vineyards or American vineyards, and then the other 25% could be from other countries. And they're doing that because they were able to buy wine cheaper overseas than they were to buy wine within our own country, which seems wrong, right? I mean, we should be supporting American products, buying American products, putting Americans to work. And there's a lot of California grapes available. There's a lot of bulk wine from California that's available. So what this tariff is doing is it's discouraging big wineries from buying wine outside the U.S. And now they won't be forced to buy. No one's forcing them to do anything, but they'll be more inclined to buy all American wine. If they're labeling it as an American wine, well, now they can, you know, it makes more sense to buy American wine. So the effect hasn't really happened quite yet, but I think it's going to take maybe a couple of years for it to happen. But this is a good thing. I think, again, you know, there's a lot of California vineyards. You guys have driven on the 5 or the 101. You've seen how many California vineyards there are. So why not, if you're bottling a California wine, use all California grapes?
I mean, even here locally. I mean, you go down to 41, 46, just here locally, you just see wine everywhere, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, you know, wine is, you know, and certainly, you know, other countries make amazing wine. I mean, the wines of the world, and wines really speak to the region. Argentinian wines have their own unique taste and flavor, and terroir. France, Italy, South Africa. We can, you know, I love wines of the world. I love trying them and buying wines from other parts of the world. But if you're buying grapes and you're calling the wine California, it should be all California. That's how I feel. And so this tariff is starting to push people into just buy California wine. There's a lot of it. There's a lot available. And you're helping California growers, you're helping California farm workers, you're helping the whole industry here in America.
I mean, and you make great wine, so why not have some Sculpterra wine, right? I mean, while you're at it, you might as well grab a bottle or two.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, we're up to the event calendar of Sculpterra, our next section of this podcast. So we've been talking about it, the Harvest Fiesta. Again, this is happening October 18th at Sculpterra, and it's in support of Heroe. I'm looking in the wrong spot. I started this label in honor of the workers back in 2000, and well, the first bottling was 2011, but we started the label in 2009. I'm going to talk about this in just a little bit. But the Harvest Fiesta, again, it's free. There's no admission fee. You just come, show up. We've got dancing, music. We've got DJ 805. He does fun things.
Time?
Yes. Oh, thank you, Nesenia. Yeah, it starts at 12 and goes till 4. And the dance group is going to be from 1 to 2, correct? Or 1 to 2?
2 to 3.
2 to 3. Yeah, and we've got La Parrilla doing catering. We also have
Choco's Tacos.
Choco's Tacos. Thank you, Pepe.
Yeah,
Choco's
I remember.
Tacos. And Patagonia Hot Dog, which is Eduardo David. He's from Chile, and he has a hot dog cart, and he does a vegan dog. He does different hot dogs, and they're good.
I mean, who doesn't love a good hot dog? I mean, you know, you go to a baseball game and you go to the people with the carts outside. That's the best hot dog you're ever going to get.
Oh, and then we're going to have a Mexican ice cream cart.
Oh.
And they've got elotes and popsicles and good stuff for the kids. So that's happening on the 18th in October. Then for our wine club members, November 8th and 9th, we have an open house wine club party. So this is when you wine club members come to the tasting room and pick up your the wines in the wine club shipment. We've got live music, food, appetizers being served. I'll do a barrel tasting and some nice older library wines, bring out some special wines that you might haven't had in a while. So that's a really fun time. So you can choose a date, November 8th or 9th. And then we've got our Christmas party, which I've mentioned earlier in this podcast. That's December 18th. That's going to be on a Thursday night, which I think is good because you guys know there's a lot happening with Christmas. There's the light up the downtown here in Paso. There's the Vine Street Showcase. There's parades. Most towns do parades. So we're having our event on a Thursday night. And as Pepe mentioned a little while ago, this will be our third time doing it, but last year took us by surprise. I mean, it was crowded. People came. We had even Santa Claus was there. Saint Nick, he's the cowboy Santa. He's got the cowboy outfit. He does it. You could sit on his lap, take pictures with him. Super fun.
You got sleigh rides too. Remember that? Which the kids love that. My niece, cause my family came. My nieces love the horse. Like, oh my God, they took you around the property a little bit. They absolutely loved it. Is he gonna be back this year, hopefully?
Yeah, you know what? The guy who does the carriage is Tom Harris. He sold most of the horses.
Oh, did he?
So he hasn't confirmed if he's gonna do it again, if he's gonna get new horses. He still has the carriages, and he does all the Paso events too. He's a He's a hardworking guy, so he's gonna get back to me. Yeah, hopefully we can do that because that was really fun having carriage rides. We also had a dance contest during the Christmas party, and we gave out pistachios and awards and certain things. So that's happening December 18th, and then we're off to 2026. So those are our next events. All right. And Nesenia and Flor de Luna will be there on December 18th, as well as La Parrilla doing catering too. So look at that. We got 2 events coming up where you guys are helping me out. You guys are awesome.
I mean, thanks for having us. It's been a pleasure working with you so far. The day I don't like them, I'm gonna be like, hey, Paul, I just can't make it,
All right. Well, we're up to our next section of the podcast. This is always an interesting one. My TMI, too much information. Okay, so you guys know me. You guys are getting to know me. Some of you know, some of you don't know, but I have a family farm. We have goats, chickens. We have some ducks right now. We have sheep. My wife and son milk goats, and they make goat cheese, and we sell goat milk. There's a lot of people that want goat milk. I didn't know this, but we milk them, every other day. And then we've got meat goats and milking goats. And we can't get enough eggs. We're gonna have over 75 chickens coming up soon, with the older group, the younger group, everyone together now. So we started getting into the egg business, and I can't keep up. I get people that get 3 dozen at a time, 4 dozen at a time, and they're great. I mean, we haven't bought store-bought eggs in years.
Are they like the colored ones, like the brown ones that come out typically, or are they? Do you ever get like any weird colors, like the green and like?
Yeah, we have Easter eggers. They're called, and they're the chickens that produce like the bluish green colored eggs, and the brown and more light colored chickens. Yeah, I knew nothing about chickens. I knew nothing about farming. I mean, I knew about grape growing, but my wife, she grew up in Mexico, and her uncles and aunts had goats. She's always loved goats. And once we had property, and we moved next to my parents on our own piece of land, and we had land. So it started with 2 goats, and then now we've got over 40. But
and now you have 75 chickens.
75 chickens. So yes.
Are horses next? I mean, if Tom can't make it to the carriage ride, you can get your own horses and get them out there this year.
Yeah, my son loves horseback riding. He had a pony that passed away, so we're going to probably get him another horse at some point. Horses scare me. I mean, I've gotten thrown off a horse. I'm not a horse rider myself. I've always thought if I'm gonna, I would rather run, walk, go on a quad. I don't have the horse riding.
Gene or
craving in me, but other people. My mom is a big time horse rider. In fact, that's why my parents bought land in Paso. We moved up from Los Angeles was because they wanted to have land for horse boarding, horse riding, and they moved to Paso with their horses. So my mom and dad ride all the time. I did horse lessons when I was young, and I was just never comfortable. My sister and my brother, they liked it, and they did great, but yeah, I've never been a horseback rider.
I mean, you might have to get back into it for your son, ride around with him.
Well, he'll just do it. He's so brave. He'll hop on the back. He'll just go for it. Yeah. So that's my too much information, you guys. Okay, I have a farm. Don't forget, comment with a question. We're at the end of the episode today. We're gonna read questions. So these are the questions we've been reading are questions that I get a lot at the tasting room, where people stop and ask me all the time. But like the video, comment, ask a question, and we'll go over it at the next show. All right, animals in the vineyard. Our next section. Woo. I'm trying to make my animal sound. My throat's not working. There we go. Animals in the vineyard. Yeah. Okay. So this is I've told this story. Every day when I come home from work, my son asks, "What did you see today?" And it took me a long time to figure out what he was talking about. And then I realized, oh, you're asking what animals did I see today? Because he's a kid, and we're all kids at heart. And there's a lot of animals at Sculpterra. So I was like, oh yeah, I saw this hawk. I saw this fox. I saw a barn owl. And because I get up early, so I'm up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and there's a lot of animals out in the morning.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Lots of deer. But we also have insects, okay? So this is a little weird, but it's a bad insect. Have you guys heard of the the gold spotted oak borer. Okay, this is a beetle borer.
Okay.
And it's an invasive insect. It started in China. Most of these things seem to start in China, right? It started in China and it came into Arizona, San Diego. So it's invasive, right? So it's not from California. And it's this little black beetle, and it drills holes in the wine barrels. Like, so we get a bunch of leaking barrels. So we put a toothpick in the barrels and we plug it. Now we actually treat the oak trees with a insecticide that we spray on the ground, and it gets pulled in through the roots, and then there's a poison in the leaves that kills the oak beetle. Which, I mean, this oak beetle has killed a lot of the native pine trees in California. Now it's going after the oak trees. So it's a bad insect. It's only been a problem in the last 10 years. So if you have oak barrels, oak barrel planters at your house, you've probably seen these little bit of dust on the ground. And if you look, you'll find a little hole.
I have seen that. I never knew what it was. I figured it was just, I had no idea. Maybe like a woodpecker or something. You know, I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's a bad insect, and if you leave the wine barrels outside at any point, they just get hammered by them. So that's why whenever we're bottling, blending during the winemaking process, we have to bring the barrels inside quickly and make sure that the oak beetle borer doesn't happen.
I was surprised about the price of some of those barrels that you had when you brought me in and did the tour, and I'm like, oh, how much are these things? $200, and you were like, no, and I was kind of taken back by how expensive barrels of wine are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why we want to keep the barrels in good shape, and you get a brand new barrel that costs $2,000 or $1,500 if it's a French barrel, Hungarian, American if it's a punch-on barrel, large format, and then you get a little insect that puts a hole in the barrel. Yeah. I mean, that's very frustrating.
So how long do the barrels last?
Yeah, we have barrels that are 10 years old, but it's basically if it holds pressure. So what I mean by that is we have a steamer. We steam the inside of the barrel, which creates a vacuum and cleans the barrel inside. It's 300 degrees when you do that. And then we rinse with 180 degree hot water, and we put the bung down tight, and if it holds pressure, it's still a good barrel. But we also smell all the barrels. It's one of my jobs is at some point I've tasted all the wines and all the barrels, and just to make sure. I mean, you might get a bad barrel. We've never had this happen. I've worked at other wineries where I've heard stories where they have a 100-barrel blend, let's say, and before they bottle, they'll go through and taste every barrel in that 100-barrel blend, and you might find maybe like 88 of them taste and smell the same, and then you come across ones that, well, something's up with this barrel, and they'll just turn the barrel over. They'll just pour out that wine because you don't want to introduce a bad barrel in with a batch of good barrels. But it's hard to keep them clean. You know, it's hard to store an empty barrel. You either want to have it full of water, full of wine. An empty barrel is a dangerous barrel because it's more liable to an insect, to bacteria, to a fungus getting into it. But typically, by the third year, it's a neutral barrel, so it's lost its oaky taste. It's still a good place to store wine, and I could have a whole podcast just on barrels because the interaction between the wine and the wood and the micro-oxidation, how, you know, it's the relationship between wine and wood. And actually, I'm going to get a Cooper on this podcast. They're the people that make the barrels, and we're going to have a big barrel discussion because, like, the marriage of wine and wood and the history of wine barrels, even the shape of barrels and how they've been transported and stored over, it's really interesting and fascinating.
Oh, I can't wait for that episode. I'm going to learn all about it then. I mean, you might have to like go out there and like show a little video of you kind of going through the process and put it on the podcast before they get here or something like that. Something, you know, I'd definitely be interested. I'd watch it. I want to know how to do it.
Yeah, nowadays there's so much technology in the toasting of barrels. So the wine barrels are put together and then they're toasted from the inside. So they're burned for a certain length of time, which will give them either a light, medium, heavy toast. And then as a winemaker, when I purchase barrels, I have to make a decision what toasting that I want to do. And they've learned American oak from Missouri with heavy toast gives you dill flavors, or American oak from Missouri with light toast gives you chocolate flavors, just by doing it so much. So you can really narrow down your tasting. You can really narrow down the flavors that you want from the barrel, just from all this experimentation that's happened for years and years. And it's a big business. The barrel business, which started, whiskey is how it all started in America. They started with whiskey barrels, and then they eventually made a wine barrel from American oak. And there's a lot of technology. They use a spider graph, which will show you, again, all the different flavors that can be derived from a barrel. And it's your determination what you want to pick out. Of course, there's other factors involved. The number one factor is the quality of the grapes. I've talked about this a lot. You can't make good wine from bad grapes. You have to start with good grapes. But I love learning about barrels and experimenting with barrels. Every year I choose different coopers, different companies I haven't tried before. I have certain coopers I use every year, and then some coopers that this year I'm using barrels called Heinrich, and they're American punch-ons, which I've heard a lot about these barrels, and I'm trying them right now, and so far, I like the effect. Alrighty, muy bien. So that's animals in the vineyard, okay? So oak beetles. We don't like these guys, but it seems like they're here to stay. I've even seen them coming on the pallets, like when we order a pallet of glass or a pallet of bags. Right? You see them on the pallet. So oak beetles are bad. Maybe someday they'll be eradicated. Maybe not.
I'm going to look these up once this is all over, see what they look like.
All right, so now we're up to the nerd out on wine. Well, for this section, you guys, I usually get very technical about some wine related, like to dissect wine. But I thought I mentioned it earlier, how I started the Uga label. So Uga, who's the man on the front of the label here. So this is our secondary label. So we have our Sculpterra label, and we have our Heroe label. Can you pronounce this in Spanish for me, Pepe? I want to hear you say it.
Heroe?
Heroe. So the H is silent. That's how you say it. Heroe. So we started this. I started it as a gift. So maybe I'll just talk about how it started. So one of my workers, his name is Roque. He's worked for us all my life. In fact, he was the first worker that my dad brought in, probably 1979. So he started when he was 16 years old, and he's worked with us ever since. And in 2009, he goes to Mexico every year. Most of the workers go back to Mexico around Christmas, and over time, Roque was learning more about wine because we grow grapes. He didn't know the winemaking process, and so we started making wine. And he got good at it. He started understanding yeast and fermentation and pressing and bottling, and he started to like how wine tastes. So he had the idea. He approached me and said that he wanted to make half a ton of grapes into wine and have his own wine label and take all the wine back to Mexico and give it out to relatives, families, and friends. So we did it. I thought, okay, this sounds great. We won't, charge you. We'll just pick an extra half ton of grapes and make wine. And then we get 25 cases in a barrel. So we bottled 25 cases, and each of the workers got 3 or 4 cases each. And then they were going to take it to Mexico, but before they did that, we needed to have a label, and they had different ideas on labels. One of them wanted to put a picture of their church square, of their town square, or their local church in Mexico on the label. They wanted to put a palm tree on the label because they're from La
Paz or something.
Mazatlan.
Oh, okay.
Mazatlan, Sinaloa, where it's it's hot, humid. And they have a lot of palm trees. So that was their concept. And I said, you know what? Those are good ideas. But why don't we put you guys on the label? And Uga, who was working for us at the time, he was retiring. He was getting older, and he wanted to stop working and move back to Mexico and live out his years in Mexico. So it just so happened he was retiring that year, and I said, let's put Uga on the label. I had a picture of him that I took, and he's got that face, he's got that look where you can just see that he's a hard worker. He's he's a special individual. He was not the boss. He was not the jefe, not the guy making the orders or making the decisions. He was the guy who would dig a trench all day or just do whatever job needed to be done. And he had a great attitude, spirit. Everybody teased him. He was people even now when they see this label, they're like, "That's Uga's on a label," because he'd go to the local bars, he would go to the grocery stores. He was a lot of fun, and he didn't take things personal. He just always laughed everything off. So you could tease him, and he was just happy about everything. I had, and he was one of the workers who would let me take pictures of him. Most people are afraid or embarrassed, but he would always pose for me, like, all right, thank you. He posed for me by the grape, posed for me in the vineyard, whatever it was. So I had this picture of him. I mocked up a label, and it just worked. It just looked interesting. We have our Sculpterra label, which is about the art, and this label is all about the workers, the behind the scenes people that you don't know of that are there. They're the ones working the fields, working in the winery. So we labeled it and gave the wine away to the workers, but I had a couple bottles at the tasting room, and everyone that saw it wanted to buy it. I'm like, oh, no, this is not for sale. It was a giveaway, a fun gift we did for the employees here. And then I thought about it, this should be one of the labels. So we started it officially in 2011, and it's grown. We sell these wines in supermarkets, restaurants. We have a wine club with these wines as well, and we do Viognier, Pinot, Primitivo, and Cab. We're going to taste the Pinot Noir and Primitivo in just a little bit. So it's a fun label, and it supports the Flying Samaritans. The Flying Samaritans go down to San Quintin in Baja, California. We have a clinic there where they do eyeglass clinic. They pull teeth. They have, my uncle is a chiropractor. He's been down there doing adjustments. So a portion of the proceeds goes and supports them. They're a local group. They fly out of San Luis. They fly from San Luis to Tijuana to Ensenada, and then they drive down a little further. So it's a great organization. I guess I did tell most of the story. It's a long story. There's even a little bit more to it, but I'm really proud of it.
That's a beautiful story, and thank you for that.
Yeah, and again, it made the workers so proud too. Like when we put them on the back of the label. So every year I change this as well to the current vineyard and winemaking team, and a lot of people want to be on the label. I say, you want to be on the label? You have to work a minimum of 2 or 3 days during harvest. And then you have the opportunity to be on the back label.
That's why Frankie thinks he's getting on the label, huh?
Yep.
I know he's itching at you, being like, "Hey, Paul, when am I going to get put on there?"
Yeah, so it's very cool. My wife and son are on the label. I mean, it's a whole team effort, family effort, and yeah, we're in harvest right now, and we spend a lot of time together. I mean, we're up early. I'm talking to the workers all day long. There's tons of decisions that need to be made constantly. When to pick, how pump overs, punch downs, netting the vines, just things. So we're a tight knit group because we're always communicating, always figuring things out as a team. And like I said, a lot of the workers have worked here all my life, so they have experience. They know what parts of the vineyard show more stress, or maybe have more growth and vigor, or areas that we need to irrigate more, or areas that have more rock and limestone, shale. They've learned just by experience. Yeah, I mean, I went to Cal Poly. I learned the book knowledge and learned about botany and plant pathology and soil science, but they know their stuff from
kind of Cal Poly
living
says,
it.
Right? Cal Poly goes learn by doing. So now they're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, very cool. Well, we've come up to 2 more sections. I think we've gone through a lot of time today. So thank you for staying with us. Thank you for listening. Alrighty. Pepe, you want to go over some questions? Could you do that for me?
Yeah, of course. Let's see what I got today for Paul.
So once again, please leave a comment with a question, and we're happy to answer it live on next week's show.
All right, Paul. So First one I got for you. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. What sales are happening at Sculpterra during Harvest Fiesta weekend?
Yes. See, I forgot to mention this. So during the Fiesta weekend, we're doing 50% off cases of all the wines on the list. So that includes, we're pouring 6 wines. We're pouring the Heroe Pinot, Primitivo, Cab, and Sauvignon Blanc, which is a Sculpterra label, a couple of the blends. So yeah, this is for wine club members, and there's no cost to join the wine club. So if you come to the party, we'll give you the wine club information. You could join the wine club, and you instantly get half off on a case of wine, which is an incredible deal. And we're doing that all Harvest Festival weekend. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 17th, 18th, and 19th.
Yeah, so my friends come out there, maybe join and then get some wine.
Yep.
All right. You ready for the other one? All right. Who writes the wine notes? Can you really taste all the flavors?
Yeah, this is another one I can have a really long answer, but I'll try to keep it short. Yeah, I do the descriptions on the tasting menu. When you show up at the tasting room, you'll see the wine list, and it'll be, you're tasting Viognier, for instance, and it'll say notes of stone fruits, pineapple, citrus, with a clean finish, crisp acidity, those sort of things. Yeah, I come up with this. Not everyone tastes all those things, but which is okay. I mean, you basically what it comes down to is, do you like the flavors of the wine? Do you like how the wines taste? Those flavors are not added to the wine. Those flavors are natural, organic, occurring aromatics or phenolics that are expressed during winemaking. So I'll just give you a quick example. If you pick grapes too early, let's say you pick the grapes when they're still when they're green, you guys like underripe grapes, the wine comes out herbaceous tasting. The wine comes out green. The wine will taste like bell pepper or jalapeno or dill or green leaf, like those flavors. So I mean, that's I've had wine like that. It's like, oh, they just picked too early. And then on the contrary, if you pick too late and it's all raisins, you guys have ate raisins before. Well, the wine will have maybe too much prune taste or too much cooked stewed fruit flavors. So those flavors are derived from the grape growing and the winemaking. Not everyone will taste all those flavors. These are just the flavors that I pick up. But to get really technical real quick, if you were to look at wine under a microscope, you can look at the phenolics, at the benzene ring. Those of you that have done organic chemistry, there's actually an organic compound of lavender or jasmine, and that compound can be expressed in the wine. You could analyze the wine to that depth and find it, but it's not always present. That's why we swirl the wine glass, right? Because that oxygen helps those flavors, those phenolics become expressed. Maybe that was a long answer. We'll talk more about that.
It's good to know these things, because the next question for you I got kind of goes with all that. What if I'm new to wine? What should I start with?
Yeah, if you're new to wine, you know what? Most people, because we're Americans, we grew up here in California. We grew up drinking soda for the most part, so we're used to sweet things. So it's good to start with sweet wines. Just give that a try. We make muscat. We make a sparkling wine that's a touch sweet. Our rosé is a little sweet. So I think that if you're, you can't handle like a dry, tannic, robust, heavy wine, start with something a little sweet and then gradually try something with less sugar, more drier, on the drier end of the spectrum. I started drinking, I remember the first wine I had was a Chardonnay, and I liked it right away. My wife Martha, who she got into wine when we got married, and just being around me and taking her out to dinner and trying wines. She liked Petite Syrah right away, which which is like the heaviest, boldest, darkest, most robust structure. Kind of makes your mouth pucker and astringent bitter. She likes dark chocolate. We're talking like 90% dark chocolate. She doesn't like milk chocolate, so that's what Petite Syrah is like. It has those flavors of like extremely dark chocolate. So she went for that. I poured her some Petite Syrah thinking, you're not going to like this. You're a newbie. And she tried it and loved it. So from that point forward, she drinks that end of the wine spectrum.
Okay. Well, good to know. I'll be honest, I'm a big Syrah fan myself, and I don't know why either. Because I was relatively new, but I did like that right off the bat, which is interesting now that you mentioned your wife was the same way. I don't know if it's something that we're accustomed to growing up with Mexico that made us like that specifically. Because I do like sweet wines as well. But
Yeah, I think you have to try a lot of wines. That's the thing too. I've done wine tasting classes. I went to college to learn winemaking, grape growing, but we had classes where we would taste wines of the world and just go through, and then you start learning certain flavors are more prominent in certain places, which is interesting. But you just have to taste a lot of wine. That's why going out wine tasting in Paso has a huge variety of everything. We don't just specialize in one type of grape. We grow everything from whites, reds, dessert wines, Zinfandel, Cab, Petit Syrah, Merlot, Cab Franc, Syrah, Mourvedre, Malbec. So anything you could think of is probably grown in Paso. So just get out there, experience wine, and give it a try. You may be surprised with what your palate likes. Well, speaking of wine, we're going to end the show by tasting 2 wines.
I thought you'd never ask. I've been ready for that
all day.
Cool. Thank you, guys. So we got our Héroe Pinot Noir. I thought we would try 2 wines, Héroe Pinot Noir, Héroe Primitivo. So these wines are going to be at the Harvest Fiesta.
Perfect.
When you come to the party. So we got our Héroe wine glasses here.
Oh, thank you.
Alrighty.
I'm going to wait for you and tell me how to do it right, Make sure I'm spinning it, whatever I got to do, make sure I get all those.
Yeah. Pinot Noir. Yeah, so this is a light-bodied wine. Yeah, so we've been talking about how oxidizing the wine, give it a little bit of air. This always works. There's the 5 S's of wine tasting. Have you guys heard of this? So there's sight is not one of them apparently, but I like sight because you learn a lot just by looking at the wine. Like for instance, this wine is not incredibly dark. It's kind of that red brick, lighter red color, which tells you it's probably not an intense wine. This is a 2022, so it's still young, but it's at a good spot. I think you're really going to enjoy this. So anyway, we've got swirl is one of the S's, and you've got sniff or smell, which when you smell wine, you really need to put your nose deep into the glass. This is one common mistake people make is they'll hold the glass 2 feet away from themselves. That's not how it works, you guys. You got to get your nose really into it.
Got a big nose, it helps.
Exactly. So we've got sight, we got swirl, we got smell, and then you sip, savor, and spit. You're supposed to spit when you go wine tasting and you're tasting wine all day. Otherwise, it starts to affect you. And then,
I've been doing it wrong, it looks like then. I always get affected at one point or another.
and then the final S, which Matt Kettman, I want to get Matt Kettman on this podcast. So he's the wine critic and wine writer for Wine Enthusiast. He just came out with a video a couple weeks ago. It's really good. The last S is score. Okay, so you need to rate the wine on a scale to 100, or maybe you do out of 5 stars. What you would score the wine, and then make note. If you're going wine tasting, it's nice to take a scratch paper and make some notes. So here we go, Héroe Pinot Noir.
Cheers.
Muy bien. Yeah. So, what do you think, Pepe?
I gotta go to work after this, right?
Well, that's why we're only tasting 2 wines. We got to keep it light.
This bottle might end up in I got deep pockets in here, No one's gonna see it if I walk out with it, right? This one might be hard. This one's a little big for me to walk out with, but...
exactly.
No, it tastes great.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Nessie, what do you think about the smell? I know you are not necessarily a wine drinker. You're learning and getting into it.
Yes. Why is it so strong? Why?
Yeah, I don't find it very strong. I think
Or what makes it that strong smell? What is it?
Again, it's just the natural occurring flavors that are expressed through the winemaking process. It's the grape grow. It's the grapes themselves during fermentation. Even like right now, if you were to step foot in the winery, there's some amazing smells happening with there's some grapes we just picked and fermentation is new. Some of it we're at the end of fermentation, and you get like just all kinds of smells. But yeah, it's only 13.5% alcohol, so this is not a high alcohol wine. But yeah, it has a lot of body. You say it's like strong, has strong flavors. It has a lot of body and presence. And then, again, this wine is slightly sweet, but you don't notice it because it's balanced with acidity and structure, so it kind of just lingers and stays on your palate. It stays everywhere.
Like a very good like everyday kind of wine. You're kind of just at home, cooking, making dinner, or just honestly just cleaning the house, because that's a chore and a half. And a little glass of wine definitely helps. It goes a long way when you're doing dishes and just making some dinner, maybe making some more Mexican food.
Yeah, I agree. So here now we're going to try the Héroe Primitivo. This is our green label Uga bottle, Héroe Primitivo. So here you are.
Thank you.
Okay. You're all good there. Primitivo, which we haven't tried yet on the channel. This one has, I always tell people you get a lot of fig flavors, and it always just pops out at me. But this is now a medium-bodied wine. So this one is higher alcohol, bigger finish, more structure. It's going to linger on your palate a little more. It's still not considered a heavy wine.
You know what's funny? It doesn't smell as strong as a Pinot, in my opinion. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, I think it's got more, it has a lot of delicate qualities to it. Like it just has a nice complexity of ripe fruit without being... Yeah, it also smells really clean. I like. Yeah, I'm always looking for faults in wine because I was trained how to taste wine and to pick out the bad parts of wine. But when I smell this, it's just really clean, supple, pretty. A really nice wine, Primitivo.
I wasn't trying to describe it, but I feel like that's a good way to put it. It does smell clean. Like it just.
I think I need to start with the sweet wines. Yeah.
Yes.
Give her some,
perfect.
Give her some port.
I agree. Yeah, our Primitivo port is great. So that's 10% sugar, which that one's real sweet. The Muscat's only 4% residual sugar. The Rosé is right around 1%. So, yeah, exactly. If you're just starting out with wine, start with the sweet ones and then just work your way up. And again, the more you taste, the more you'll develop a palate for it. I mean, people I've talked about this. People ask me, what's my favorite wine? I can't pick a favorite because I enjoy I enjoy what each wine brings. Each wine, it's like children. They have their own personality. They have their own character. They need to be brought up the way they should go, which, I pride myself in the vineyard and in the winery that, we don't overdo things. We try to make the purest wine we can by, not intervention. That's been a hot topic of late in the wine industry, like low intervention wine, doing less to the wines to keep them more representative of where they came from and how they were grown.
But if you had, but if you're just around the house, kind of like me, what would you go to? If you're, you have 6 different wine on your shelf, what would you specifically what would make you just like pick that one over the other 6, just day to day?
Yeah, what I like doing is I'm always thinking about the wine club and the new wine releases. So I'm always tasting young wines. Okay. So that when we do the wine club parties, I'm like, yeah, I understand this wine. I'm always going back to that year. So 2022, I look back through all my notes. It was a hot year, a cold year, a dry year, the rain we had. Did we get rain during harvest? What barrels did I use? Which yeast did I use? I start going through all my notes. I take really in-depth notes and change things year to year, depending on what I'm trying to do. But, it's like right now so this is an in-depth study of 2022. We're going back three years ago, we're getting a snapshot of that year of what happened in the vineyard and how the wines came out. So that part I really like to enjoy and dive deep into the specific vintage.
Well, you make some great wines. I can tell you that right now. I've always enjoyed them, even not because you're my friend. I feel like friends got to be honest with each other. Be like, hey, Paul, that one's not tasting right. But no, so far they've all been great.
Wow, thank you, Pepe. Thank you, Nesenia. You know, this is really fun, and I'm really appreciative that you've taught my son dancing. Again, the whole social part of it, I think he really built up his confidence. You build up all these kids' confidences by getting them out of their shell, getting them to open up and dance and learn something new. Something, you know, a lot of kids play sports, which is great. That's what I did. I played basketball, baseball, but I wish I would have danced as a young kid. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And thank you to your family. And Abraham is in a good place. Yes, I love them. Love them all.
Wow. And over to you, Pepe. Yeah, thank you for the relationship. You know, I'm really, I hope all the best for the restaurant. I know you guys are growing, expanding, trying new things, and thank you for supporting our wines. That's been awesome.
I mean, you supported us. You know, you bring your family in for dinner. You order for us. We went to your tastings for like your staff members, and I feel like they've enjoyed it. No, it's been great. It's been a partnership turned friendship, which I feel like it's the best way to look at it so far.
Perfect. Exactly. Well, thank you guys. I know this was a longer podcast, super fun. First time we've had 3 people in Miguel's Paso podcast studios. Thank you, Miguel, for being behind there doing all the magic. That was if you want to watch that video again of us harvesting Grenache, that'll be linked in the description. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell to get notified of the next video. The videos are going to come out every Friday unless something wild happens, but we record Tuesday. Video comes out on Friday. I've got the rest of the year lined up, interesting guests, some really fun personalities. I think you're going to learn a lot and enjoy it. So thanks for tuning in. I'll be back next week, and we're going to keep harvesting. We got a long way to go. So thanks again. You guys are awesome. See you soon.